What is up, NFC East football fans, and welcome into another edition of the NFC East Roundtable, powered by BetUS. We turned the page from a crazy week 2 into week 3. Plenty of great games ahead of us, including one matchup in particular in the NFC East that I think could easily be the game of the week. Before we dive into it, we got to bring on your favorite NFC East representatives. KB representing the Giants, Jay Tuck representing the Dallas Cowboys, Gary representing the Eagles, and Rio representing the only winning team from the NFC East this past week, the Washington Commanders. Rio's hoping to keep it going this upcoming week. The rest of the boys are hoping to avenge their losses. Let's start in the 1 o'clock window where the New York Giants are looking to get their first win of the season against the Cleveland Browns team that, this past week they looked better than the week before, but still not great. Only an 18-13 win. Offense looks okay, nothing special. It's typical Cleveland play right now at this point. It's going through the defense, and if Deshaun Watson can lead him to victory, you got to think that the defense is going to be what winds up holding his hand the majority of the way there until he ends up getting back to where everyone's hoping that he gets back to. The Giants are hoping that they can stifle that for at least one more week. As it stands right now on BetUS, as we go and take a look at the odds for this upcoming game, the New York Giants are a 6.5-point road dog against the Cleveland Browns, over under of 39. So expected to be a real low scoring game. Giants favored, not favored, the Cleveland Browns favored by over a touchdown in this one. By the way, all of the odds for week 3 currently up on BetUS. Make sure to take advantage of our promo code we got going on right now. YouTube 150, 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit, 125% sign-up bonus on your 2 deposits after that, using the promo code, once again, YouTube 150 on BetUS. So speaking of which, let's talk about that Giants game, everybody. Let's dive into it. Cleveland, I don't know if we know what they are. The Deshaun Watson experience thus far has been mediocre at best. You know that to be true because this past week, it wasn't like it was amazing. And my entire Twitter feed is filled with Cleveland Browns fans trying to tell me that was the second coming from Deshaun Watson in an 18-point performance this past weekend. So who knows? Maybe the Giants will prove the opposite end of that once again this week and get their first W. Let's see what Jay Tuck has to think about it. 6.5-point dogs, Jay Tuck, are the Giants. How do you see this one going down against the Cleveland Browns?
Don't let me down, Jay Tuck. Don't let me down.
Yeah, one of my locks for the week was the Cleveland Browns by 7. I feel like this is an easy win for them. I feel like this is going to have it.
He let you down. He let you down.
So use that promo code and go to BetUS and lock in Cleveland and get that easy money. But I just feel like Cleveland's defensive front is going to be too much for the Giants' offensive line. Also, I feel like Deshaun Watson, even he'll probably never be what he was before he came to Cleveland back to his Houston days. I feel like he's more than enough capable to use the wide receiver core that he has out there. They have Jerome Ford. They have, Ward, their corner. So they have a lot of talent on their team, especially with their linebackers as well. I just feel like they're the more talented team than the actual New York Giants right now. Giants go 0-3, Cleveland by 7. Sorry, Kid Blue, man. Sorry, bro. I just don't see it happening.
Jay Tuck let you down, KB. Let's see if Gary lets you down. It is a 6.5-point underdog type game we're looking at right here, right now, Gary, as New York goes to Cleveland. How do you see it unfolding?
I agree with Jay Tuck. This is about personnel. The Giants just don't have enough personnel right now. And unfortunately, when you're talking about a game that most people would tell you, we're all staring at the under, trying to see if we can make some money with BetUS. But reality is a lot of those low-scoring games are determined with special teams, right? There's a reason Jay Tuck mentioned special teams is important. The Giants just flat out are dismal in terms of special teams. They just can't win these type of football games. I don't think it happens.
That's 2 for 2, KB. They've let you down. You know who let you down the most this past week was Rio. You had to win, and he let you down. He stole it from you. Rio, are you going to let him down twice in 1 week? Do you have the heart to do that? Talk to me. What do you think happens in Cleveland?
Double-digit win by the Cleveland Browns on Sunday. Let me tell you why. Because Daniel Jones' 1 week of selective superpowers will be neutralized because Washington's not on the field opposite him. Daniel Jones only plays decent football, breaks his curse in records when Washington's on the other side of the field. Cleveland's defense is nasty. They're not going to be doing what they did to us. Neighbors is going to get his because Neighbors is as bona fide a number one wide receiver as you're going to find in this league. I got to find out on Sunday. Love him. We will be hollering at him when his rookie contract's up to come play with his quarterback here in D.C. But the quarterback previously known as Deshaun Watson, I don't know who he is, but the iteration that he is right now is good enough to hand the ball off to Jerome Ford, and they can pound the rock for 150 plus easily on the New York Giants on Sunday. I seen it firsthand. They should not have too much problem with this New York Giants football team. Unless Washington or Carolina shows up on the schedule, it's going to be real hard for Ozempic Dayball to find a win on that schedule for the New York Giants this year. Give me 20-10 Cleveland on Sunday.
KB, you know the old saying, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. You're not going to let yourself down, are you? Talk to me. Did they get it done in the dog pound on Sunday?
Listen, this Cleveland Browns team, I mean, I didn't really have too much expectations for them during the preseason, but they are worse than what I thought they were. Their defense still looks pretty damn decent. That's probably the biggest factor in this game is the defense for the Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson is not good. I mean, there's no more looking to see which Deshaun Watson is going to show up. He's not good. And it's like a competition of who's worse, Daniel Jones or Deshaun Watson every week. So it's going to be a fun quarterback experience. If you watch that game, there's going to be a lot of frustration there. I'll be honest. I want to say we win this game. I just don't have it in me. Last week I said, listen, I got to do it. I got to do it. Giants fans are going to hate me, but I said this last week. If the Giants fall, no matter what the reason is, the Giants fall to the Washington Commanders in week 2, it's 0-17 until they win a game. I mean, it's 0-17 until they can show me they can win a football game. The only games I see that happening is again against the Washington Commanders at our home turf, or the next week, Carolina in Germany. That's the only time I can see the Giants winning a game. So unfortunately, I got to give the loss to the Giants here. But here, breaking news, guys, breaking news. The Giants have signed a kicker, Greg Joseph. So, maybe we will win a football game this Sunday. Who knows?
You just saw that, but KB, I want to give you some time. You just saw they signed a kicker. Do you want to change your mind here on the decision?
No. They signed a kicker yesterday. I mean, it's not.
I would also like to say I'm not changing my mind.
Welcome to the kicker carousel, my friend.
Funny enough, they dealt with that last week against the New York Jets, and they still didn't learn their lesson. But anyway, I mean, we'll see what happens with Greg Joseph at the helm for the kicker position, because apparently kickers really decide the result of the football game. So, as far as the injury report for the Browns go, it's a laundry list of injuries for the Browns. I'm hoping some of them do not play. And Myles Garrett is dealing with an injury right now, a foot injury, but they say he's going to play, but he has not practiced this week so far. So we'll see what happens. But Giants, I'm going to say the Giants fall. I want to say like 23-16. 23-16, the Giants fall.
Well, KB, if they do fall, maybe the bounce back spot's a week from tonight against Jay Tuck's Dallas.
I'm saying let it marinate. Because that first win, it's going to be good, baby. Come on.
We will have to see. Let's stay in the 1 o'clock window this upcoming Sunday. These Philadelphia Eagles, they're coming off one of the grossest losses I've seen in some time. These New Orleans Saints they're facing are coming off of 2 of the most dominant wins in recent memory. Through 2 games, the New Orleans Saints, wait for it, 91 points through the first 2 weeks. That's nearly 30 points more than the second highest scoring team in the NFL right now. No one knows what's going on in New Orleans. No one knows how the hell Philly lost that game on Monday night. This is a very interesting matchup that I think is way better than you thought it might be just a couple of weeks ago. Right now on BetUS, the Eagles, or excuse me, the Saints are getting the credit that they probably deserve through 2 weeks here. They're a 3-point favorite right now against the Philadelphia Eagles at home. KB, I'll go right back to you on this one. Talk to me about what you think is going to occur in this game, because I think this is a perfect opportunity for us to kind of learn what these two teams are, because I think through 2 weeks, the jury's out.
You said it perfectly, Zeba. This is this is like a game where we really see who are the Eagles and who are the Saints. Are the Saints for real? Are they world beaters? And are the Eagles just on a decline? They're trending in different directions right now. Even though they got out of Brazil with the win, the Eagles just I can understand why the fan base is down on them right now. With the Saints, this is going to be a test for them. You know, this is a good Eagles team. I still think they're still a good Eagles team. Coaching may get in the way, but as far as on paper, this is a very talented Philadelphia Eagles team. I don't think they pose much more of a threat than the Dallas Cowboys. I would say the Dallas Cowboys have a much stronger defense, and look what they did to them in the previous week. So I could really see, I don't want to be that guy, but I could really see the Saints scoring 40 again. I could really see it. Now it really just depends on will the Eagles score that much. I don't think so. I think the Saints are gonna win this football game pretty handedly again for the third straight week. I mean, I'm not one to really just stick to trends just because of what they did last week. Anything can happen in a football game. You could score 50 points one week and 3 the next. That's how crazy the NFL is. But man, I don't think this is a good matchup for the Eagles at all. I think this Vic Fangio zone defense is going to is not going to fare well against this Clint Kubiak offense. And so I could see them again. Just how many times did the Eagles get scored on deep passing plays? CJ, whatever they call him. He's been on the opposite end of the highlight reels the past 2 weeks, and I can see that happening again with like guys like Rashid Shaheed and Alvin Kamara and guys like that. So yeah, I'm gonna take the Saints to win, put another 40 points on the Eagles.
Jay Tuck, we'll get to your Cowboys in a second, but the beauty is the way things are looking right now. If the Cowboys keep losing, as long as the Eagles keep losing, it really doesn't matter. Somebody's got to win the division, right? So I got a feeling you're pulling heavily for the Saints, who just took. I mean, I don't really know how else to say it, Jay Tuck. They took the Cowboys to the woodshed. Are they going to do the same thing to the Eagles this upcoming week, or are we in store for maybe a role reversal here and finally the New Orleans Saints come back down to earth? How do you see this one going?
Well, in the famous words of the rapper Kodak Black, I hope so. I hope the Saints go out there and dog walk the Eagles like they did. So that wouldn't feel as bad. But I'm in this weird thing, y'all, where it's like my insurance policy. If every time I bet on the Eagles, they just lose, and I'm just on that streak. And I just think that the Eagles are going to bounce back. Now, it really depends on if AJ Brown's going to return, so I don't know that. But I just think that Eagles are going to have some pride. They're going to battle versus the Saints and want to get back for what happened versus their loss versus the Falcons. So I am going to say the Eagles get the win versus the Saints, but I will not be opposed if the Saints went out there and blew them out. I just feel like they're going to be able to kind of settle in, focus on stopping the run. Maybe Vic Fangio comes out there. We know the dynamics of what their offense can do with Saquon. You also have, Smitty out there as well, Jalen Hurts. So I feel like they're going to have a little bit more firepower, and they're probably going to play a little bit harder because now the Cowboys kind of maybe caught with their guard down, right? Because they just played the Panthers. It's not that big of a deal. But I think the Eagles are going to be focused on the Saints because they see the real threat. So I'm going to go with the Eagles, unfortunately, to win this game. And I say I would take the +3.
Rio, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if you've picked another divisional foe to win the entire time. You have to.
It sounds like we got a trend that we need to keep going, and it sounds like we definitely need to keep it going. But to start, my therapist tells me all the time. She says, Rio, sometimes when people show you who they are, you got to believe them. Take them at their word and believe who they are.
Can you give me her number? Can you give me her number, please?
And the Philadelphia Eagles keep showing us consistently this is who they are. They are all style, no substance, and they're soft. If you take the game to them, they cannot stop you. That defense is weak as hell still. That New Orleans offense under Clint Kubiak, they are lighting folks up right now. And that Dallas defense was a lot tougher than Philly's. Philly's defense is young. They got some young corners out there. Quinyon Mitchell. I'm not sure Cooper DeJean's name has been called on an NFL broadcast this year. So for the Howie Roseman finesse the Commanders for Cooper DeJean and Jahan Dotson. Yeah, we'll wait on that one, but let's cook Adam Peters, by the way. I'm going to take New Orleans in this one, 30-24 in a shootout-esque game that Derek Carr outduels Jalen Hurts. I think they're going to sprinkle in some Saquon, but not enough. They're going to get pass happy, and Jalen Hurts has to show everyone that he's graduated to doing that and competing in shootout-style football games. I think Alvin Kamara is going to run for 100 yards on this football team. He's going to score a couple touchdowns on this football team because what are the Eagles giving up? 6-7 yards a carry on the ground through 2 weeks of the season right now. And Shaheed and Olave on the outside, they're going to get busy on that Eagles secondary, 30-24. Derek Carr is grabbing his nuts and taking another $14,000 fine. We'll make a GoFundMe for him. Get him out of here. Eagles fall to 1-2.
Gary, talk to me. You always keep it real. So let me hear it. I'm dying to hear how you think the Eagles find a way to try and bounce back after a bizarre loss on a Monday night. Who's taking this, New Orleans or Philly?
You know, part of me wants to argue against you guys. Part of me does. But let's be real here. This is a team that, according to Reed Blankenship, he says Jalen Hurts had a players-only meeting and said, this is on the players, period. This is on us. And so now that you know this, I tend to disagree because when I'm watching a team that can't stop the run, you're not winning at the point of attack. Well, at some point, the coaching staff has to make an adjustment. When I'm watching two safeties high all game, that's not telling me that you're making an adjustment. So coming into this week against New Orleans, what adjustment are you making? What adjustment are you making to stop Kamara? I completely agree with Rio. It's going to be 100 yards, 125 yards for Kamara. He might get into the end zone multiple times. So for this Eagles team, I have this as another loss, and that's unfortunate because I want to root for this team. I want to believe in this team, but they've got to show me something on the field that is something of substance, something of dogs. And right now, the Eagles, they're not the dogs that they've talked about themselves to be. Right now, they're a soft football team that also has some X's and O's, some issues in terms of X's and O's. And when you are soft and you are not playing smart football, you are going to lose in this league. It doesn't matter what your team looks like.
You should just copy and paste everything Gary said and just put that on the Cowboys. Good, man.
Right? I mean, you can have anything you want on a roster. You really can. But when you're talking about a football team that says it's on us, and you're not winning at the point of attack with a first-round draft pick, you get one tackle all game, and they ran zone reads. They essentially ran the same play. It was almost like watching a game of 2007 Madden, where you play someone who's Michael Vick, and they just like to break, contain, and run for 100 yards. At some point or another, you need to realize, what are these offenses doing to us? We went in the draft specifically to stop this over the last multiple years. And now that that's happening, aren't you soft? It is when Rio says you're soft, when J Tuck says you're soft, when Kid Blue says you're soft, right. Well, then why don't you start winning in the trenches? And then we'll start making different adjustments and saying that we expect you to come in and play a certain style of football against really good teams on the ground. So where I'm at with this, I'm high on this Eagles team. I think they're going to make an adjustment. It's just a matter of when. But they've got to show it to me before I can start making predictions otherwise.
Let's talk about the game of the week, fellas. I cannot wait for this one. It just feels like a September playoff game, and that's really what it is for the Baltimore Ravens, who somehow found a way to blow a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter to Gardner Minshew and the Las Vegas Raiders. They fall to 0-2. The Dallas Cowboys fall to 1-1. After getting blown out by New Orleans. They followed their blowout of their own against New Orleans with a blowout on the other end. This game, you have a feeling it's going to really set the tone for Dallas going forward. It might not be the most, dire thing in the world if they lose. For Baltimore, it would be. There's only been one team since 2000 who has made the playoffs starting 0-3, and I believe since 1979, there's only been 6 teams to ever do it. So without mathematically eliminating Baltimore this week, they're essentially eliminated if they lose to the Dallas Cowboys. It's in Dallas, and right now the Baltimore Ravens are a 1-point road favorite on BetUS. I absolutely cannot wait for this game. Stakes are massive. The fact that a game has this much implication involved within it and it's before October is wild. So KB, talk to me. Baltimore, they're coming off an AFC championship appearance. They could be bounced as early as week 3 here if things go south against Dallas. Who do you think winds up taking this game in a very pivotal game for both teams in week 3?
This is tough. And this almost feels like the stakes aren't the same when it comes to like the Saints and the Eagles game, but they're very similar in the aspect that you're really going to see what these two teams are in this season. Baltimore, I mean, I cannot believe they lost to the Raiders. I cannot believe that. I don't think the Raiders team on paper just is not good at all. And for John Harbaugh and to lead his team to a loss there, it was very shocking. And it doesn't give me any confidence in them beating the Dallas Cowboys here, but the Dallas Cowboys just got shellacked by the Saints. And who knows? Maybe it's just the Saints are that good. And the Dallas Cowboys just fell to a team that just has the hot hand this season. You know, there's always one team that has a really good offensive year, and they're like one and done. So maybe that's the case. I want to say the Baltimore Ravens win because I hate the Dallas Cowboys. It's just so hard. I mean, the Baltimore Ravens fan base is in disarray. This seems like a really bad year for Baltimore. The fans, the players, Zay Flowers is like retweeting stuff about not being utilized, and now good buddy of mine, Engraven Vids, is making videos like should we fire John Harbaugh, which I didn't think a Baltimore Ravens fan would ever utter those words ever after everything he's done for that franchise. But it really illustrates where this franchise is right now, and I have a really bad feeling that the Baltimore Ravens are going to fall 0-3 here with a guy like Lamar Jackson, who I thought was going to have a really good year. And it doesn't seem like the Derrick Henry thing is working out at all. Nope. He never fit their offense anyway. I'm not sure why he was even signed there. And yeah, they just still having a lot of offensive woes. They really haven't found a number one wide receiver for Lamar Jackson, and they're really relying on their tight ends to really be their number one targets, and that hasn't been working. So yeah, I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to get the win here. As much as I want to see the Baltimore Ravens still stay in the fight for the season and beat the Dallas Cowboys, it just seems like this isn't their year. It just seems like this is going to be a really down year for the Ravens. And I have a feeling they're going to fall 0-3 here. This is not a good opponent to face. Backs against the wall. The Dallas Cowboys are also hungry for a win here after what they put up in week 2. Both these teams are really going to try their best to show everybody and themselves that they're a good team. And one of them is going to be really disappointed. So I'm going to take the Cowboys to win here. I'm going to say they rebound nicely. I'm going to say like a 30-17 type game.
I like the way you talk.
You're muted, Z-Bot. You're muted.
He went silent on him.
I got silent because KB took my breath away. I couldn't hear that outcome. Listen, as a Bills fan, the Dallas Cowboys can essentially knock out Baltimore this week, right? The Bills themselves can essentially knock out Jacksonville. And boy, oh boy, Rio, if your Commanders got any saying that they can knock out them Bengals too, I would not hate it if all three of those things happen. Rio, let's swing it to you. What do you think happens in this massive matchup between Dallas and Baltimore?
This game means everything to the Baltimore Ravens. So this is probably going to be the best game played on Sunday. Baltimore versus Dallas. You're probably going to see Lamar Jackson in the peak of his superpowers. And you're probably going to see $60 million man Dakota Prescott doing his thing. I could see both offenses lighting the scoreboard up on Sunday. And I think Baltimore needs it more, but I think Dallas wins. I hate this. This is my first time picking a divisional opponent to win a game this year, but this game screams Dallas is going to beat Baltimore. And as a Beltway brother, the Baltimore Ravens, you know what? I'm not mad if they start the season 0-3. Even if that means losing a game to the Dallas Cowboys, they are so arrogant and pompous as they should be. Their organization is run like a first-class organization should. I don't think they're going to beat Dallas this way. I think CeeDee Lamb's going to go crazy versus the Baltimore defense. Derrick Henry doesn't really fit at all with the Baltimore Ravens offense. It feels like they got him there just to take some of the rushing pressure off of Lamar Jackson. I'm not in love with Lamar's receiving core over there in Baltimore. I think Dallas's offense is going to be humming. Give me Dallas 27-24.
Was the Rio jinx just born? We'll find out on Sunday. I think that's the first NFC East pick he's made that has not gone in the favor of the opponent of the NFC East team. Gary, talk to me. Huge game between the Ravens and the Cowboys. Who ends up taking it?
Well, first off, I don't know if anyone made a score prediction, but I'm here to tell you guys right now, I actually think Dallas is going to run away with this game. And in large part, personnel-wise, when you guys talk about fit with Derrick Henry, you guys are absolutely over the target. That's absolutely right. There's no question about that. Derrick Henry doesn't fit with this team. He makes no sense on this roster. But having said that, what makes Baltimore worse is falling behind. Dallas should have a clear game plan. We need to get the ball in the air in a hurry, get in the end zone, make Baltimore throw the football, and suddenly Lamar Jackson becomes an average quarterback in this league. And this is the reason why everybody wants to question why is Lamar Jackson as criticized as he is, and there's all types of reasonings people provide. But Lamar Jackson plays well under very, very small like we're talking about a situation where he needs to be winning. That's it. He needs to get ahead. He needs to run the football. And if you're not ahead, you're going to lose. This is why he gets into playoff football and he can't win. Most quarterbacks, to win when it matters, you need to go 2-minute drill. You need to be smart with your coaching. You need to be disciplined. And Lamar Jackson doesn't display any of those qualities. I believe Dallas is going to get out. CeeDee Lamb, to Rio's point, he's going to go off. I think CeeDee Lamb's going to go off in this game, and it's going to put so much pressure on Lamar that we're going to be questioning who's that man. Now, I know that's crazy to say because we're talking about an MVP, but I think Dallas right now is actually, in a good way, going to bring a different conversation we're talking about next week.
J-Tuck, I don't know how you're feeling, but that was a 3-for-3 sweep in one of the bigger games of the year here, and it's coming off a game where Dallas looked about as bad as they could. I'm shocked right now that we got a 3-for-3.
Y'all put me in a bad situation, man. Jeez.
Talk to me, J-Tuck. Let me hear it. What's going to happen?
Honestly, if I'm putting my analyst hat on, I feel like there's no way the Dallas Cowboys win this game, if I'm going to keep it a buck, right? I just feel like with the lack of defensive interior is gone, Mozzie Smith's going to be out. They don't have enough. They just don't have enough when it comes to their defense. But to agree with everyone, I think this is the Dak Prescott $60 million game. I think this is the game where everyone's sitting back and saying, okay, that's why they paid Dak. That's why they paid CD. And I just feel like, I hope, if Cowboys players, if you're watching, you go out there and you're not going to let these Baltimore Ravens come into your house again and just take everything from you. I think the Cowboys are going to be on 10 out there as soon as they come out the stadium. I know it's going to be electric out there. I know Cowboys fans are going to be hyped up. I think the Cowboys win this game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I'm thinking the Cowboys are winning 31-27. But man, if you just look at it on paper, it's just like, I don't know. But typically what happens with the Cowboys is fight or flight. When they get threatened, their backs against the wall, that's when they show up. When they're comfortable, that's when you need to worry. You know what I'm saying? But a game like this, when everyone's probably going to have you as the underdog, everyone's saying that you can't stop the run, you just got embarrassed, here comes the MVP, we know what their defense was last year, all these different things, the Cowboys typically do respond. So I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys to win this game.
Oh, I'm rooting for you, J-Tuck. I would love nothing more than a Dallas W this upcoming weekend. All right, you ready? Dun, 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 dun. Let's go to Monday Night Football. Rio wave the flag, the doubleheader. The Washington Commanders taking on the 0-2 Cincinnati Bengals. We just spent some time talking about how the Baltimore Ravens season could be in trouble. This seems to be a common occurrence for the Cincinnati Bengals, but they are treading along a very dicey rope. They continue to keep starting years like this. Eventually, it's going to bite them. And if Rio has anything to say about it, Monday night could be the night that it does end up doing so. Let's head over to BetUS right now, and it is about as big of a spread as you'll see in the NFL. 8-point underdogs are the Washington Commanders on the road under the lights in Cincinnati, and I believe it's a blackout, if I'm not mistaken, Rio. So the Bengals are going to be wearing their all blacks.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be a sight, and I think it's going to be better than an 8-point spread might indicate. I don't think Cincinnati has earned an 8-point spread yet, but let's see what you fellas have to say about it. KB, I'll kick it up to you. Let's start with you. You just played these Washington Commanders and you played them really tight. What do you expect them to do against the Cincinnati Bengals on Monday night?
To be honest with you, I feel like this could be a game not very similar in score wise as far as the Buccaneers and Commanders game, but somewhat similar. I feel like Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, all these veterans out there are just going to go out there and play good football. I'm going to forget about that Giants game. The Giants were incompetent. They couldn't win that game. I feel like this is a good football team. The Bengals always start seasons like this. They always drop in games week 1 and 2, and they always find a team, at some point that they can get back on the road on. And I feel like that is going to be the Bengals here. As far as an 8-point spread goes, I think that is a little too high. This game could be closer than that because the Bengals wait to hit their full form all the way in, December and January and stuff like that. So I don't think it's going to be that much of like a blowout loss. I don't think it's going to be like the Tampa game where the Jaden Daniels just fighting from behind the whole time. And they're just, and they're just trying to fight back from there. I think the Bengals are going to win this game though. As far as the score, it's hard to really say, man. I could see like a 27. I don't know if they put up too many points. The Washington Commanders haven't put up a lot of points. If they can't put a touchdown up against the Giants, I don't know how they're gonna do it against the Bengals. So I don't know. I'm gonna say I'll lower it down a little bit. I'll say 20 to 15. I'm gonna get crazy with it. You score. You want to put up more field goals. You get a field goal. You get a field goal. Everybody gets a field goal. 20 to 15. I'm gonna give it to the Bengals.
Reminds me of what I saw last week between the Commanders and the Giants. It's just field goal city. Maybe we see it again Monday night.
Hopefully the Bengals have a kicker. Yeah.
That's the key. It could come down to the kicking. Jay Tucker,
Christian's a dog. So
do you think it comes down to kicking Jay Tucker? Or is it not going to be necessary since he runs away with it?
I think since he runs away with it, but I think the Commanders cover. I think it's going to be a close battle game. Talking about what happened last week, I don't think the Commanders can go out there and make the same mistakes. I think they're going to actually get in the end zone more often than they did last week. But I feel like the Bengals are desperate. I think there's talks of T. Higgins being out there as well. But they have some wide receivers, and we just know from all the shows that we've done with Rio, they ain't got no corners, man. They ain't got no corners to cover out there with Jamar Chase and, all those guys and my guy Jermaine Burton. I think the Bengals offense is going to have a field day out there versus the Commanders secondary. So I got the Bengals winning. I'll probably say 27-21.
Gary, you going to make it 3 for 3 on the Bengals, or do you think an upset's in store Monday night?
I don't know if I'm watching Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals or Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. This team just doesn't come out ready to play. It's just that simple. This team, for some reason, you've got Joe Burrow's hair looking awful, but his football, right, looks great in the second half of the year. We're not sure what that's about. We don't, right? We don't know if he was partying too hard with Michael Rubin. We don't know. So right now with this team, it's like we want to believe that Washington's going to come out here and cover this game. But the way I look at it, I think Cincinnati, just like we were saying about, right, we're talking about Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, your back's against the wall. Now it's put up or shut up time. You need to win this football game. Well, I think Cincinnati's going to respond. They're going to respond in a big way. Like Jay Tuck was saying that this game may get close at the end, but he thinks that Cincinnati's going to control the game. I think Cincinnati's going to run away with this football game. I don't think it's going to have anything to do with how Daniels plays in this game per se. I just think Cincinnati's going to go out and take it.
Rio, floor is yours. Let them know what happens Monday night. We had 3 for 3 across the board. You're the 4th. Did the Commanders get it done?
See, everybody makes sense. And conventional wisdom does say they should dog us. They should beat the shit out of us on Monday night. This is the most desperate team in the NFL this week because they do this every year. The Cincinnati Septembers, they do this every single season. But what I see when I see that team, I see a team that can be ran on. Ramondre Stevenson, 120 yards week 1. Last week, if Pacheco doesn't come out of that game, he ends with 100 yards. He had 90 yards. Mahomes had 30 yards rushing. Jacoby Brisket had 30 yards rushing. They've given up 160-plus rushing yards in both weeks. I think we have a three-headed rushing attack that they have not seen yet this year between Jaden Daniels, Brian Robinson, and Austin Eckler. Everything screams they should dog us. They're at home. They're doing their blackout. We're bringing out the primetime whites. In primetime games, we wear white on white. That's what we do. T. Higgins is coming back. His hamstring has miraculously healed itself in a primetime game, comes up on the schedule, and they got 2 receivers that are desperately trying to get a serious bag. T. Higgins, this is last year in Cincinnati because once they pay Chase in the offseason, they're not franchising him a second year in a row. He will be an unrestricted free agent in the offseason. Their running backs don't scare me. Chase Brown and Zach Moss, but obviously Singletary didn't scare me and he ran all over us as well. I know we're weak at the cornerback position. Their receivers should absolutely go crazy. You could pencil in Jamar Chase for 100 yards and a touchdown on every parlay you play on BetUS Sportsbook and Casino this week. But this is the Jaden Daniels National Coming Out Party. And I know we have to share the Monday Night Football platform with Z-Bot's Buffalo Bills and the Jacksonville Jaguars earlier that day. But this is the LSU Heisman Bowl. Joe Burrow won a Heisman at LSU. Jaden Daniels won a Heisman at LSU. Secret storyline. I may be making this up and pulling this out of my ass. Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels don't really like each other. If you've ever heard them talk about each other,
a grudge match.
It's the way you talk about a teammate that you didn't bang with for real. Like we didn't, like we worked. We were co-workers. We just worked together type situation. They share 2 fraternities. They share the Heisman fraternity and the LSU fraternity, and they are so lukewarm when they get asked about each other. Yeah, man. I'm happy to see Joe Burrow. Man, he meant a lot to the state of Louisiana. Just done talking about her. They sound like there's something there. And I think Jaden is trying to make a name for himself on a national scale. My stupid ass football team is good for a victory that they should not get every single season. And I think it's time to cash it in week 3 versus the Cincinnati Bengals. I seen us do it on Monday night 2 years ago versus Gary's Philadelphia Eagles when they were 10-0 at the time. I seen us do it in the all whites because when we pulled a primetime whites out, it's a different story versus the Steelers when they were 11-0 a couple years ago as well. Washington goes up to Cincinnati to the jungle and wins 23-20. And Jaden Daniels throws his first and second passing touchdowns of the season. He's gonna score twice, and the whole world's gonna say, "Whoa, one of the rookie quarterbacks actually is good." And they can stop lumping him in with Caleb Williams and Bo Nix because our guy looks different. He may be leaving some stuff out there on the football field, but he takes care of the football. We haven't turned it over yet. We may turn it over versus Cincinnati on Monday, but Cincinnati is a soft-ass football team. They're the AFC Eagles, and I think we're going to take advantage of it, and we're going to run all over them boys on Monday night, and Jaden's going to find 2 red zone touchdowns, and we're going to wake Terry McLaurin, Jonathan Allen, and Deron Payne up because all of them guys are getting paid to do a lot of nothing right now. It stops on Monday night. Washington with the upset victory in Cincinnati and sits at first place going into week 4.
Ooh, boy, the week 3 picks are locked in. I can't wait to see how it all unfolds. I'm sure you can either, and I can't wait to recap week 3 with all you fellas and all you wonderful people tuning in next Thursday night. We'll be doing a little recapping, and we'll be doing a little previewing of Giants Cowboys. That's going to be great, but cannot wait to recap these games with you. On the way out the door, like button and subscribe button, and look at Rio, you just inspired me. Jay Tuck and the rest of the fellas inspired me here about the Cowboys. I'm going to hit on BetUS with the 150% sign-up bonus. I'm going to hit the season-ending parlay, I like to call it. Bills, Cowboys, Commanders. They're going to end the Jag season. They're going to end the Ravens season. They're going to end the Bengals season all in one weekend. I don't know what that pays out. It's got to be pretty damn good. And it's even better with a 150% sign-up bonus using the promo code YouTube150. 125% sign-up bonus on your 2 deposits after that first deposit. All the week 3 lines are up there. Hell of a good slate we got coming up ahead of us, fellas. Can't wait to dive into it. Can't wait to recap it with you guys. next week. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the NFC East Roundtable. For KB, J Tuck, Gary, and Rio, I'm your host, Z-Bot. We'll be back with you next week to recap week 3. Can't wait to see you then. Much love. Enjoy the weekend. Peace.